Hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining us in the Valentine's Day card. So here's the instructions. I have a 6x9 piece of paper, watercolor paper, and then I'm just like starting by cutting it in half. So basically, it's 3 by 4.5 because it's gonna go on top of a card 4 by 6, so it's just perfect size. Okay, so once it's cut, then we're gonna use a Sharpie pen. I use the fine Sharpie pen, so that way I can just kind of trace. You can do it by pencil first if you want, and then do it with ink. And then it's gonna just start by a simple big heart. Don't make it too complicated. It's okay if it's imperfect, right? Because we're so always perfectly imperfect. So we're gonna do the heart. It can be one side. I like to do hearts with one side even bigger than the other. And I like to do it pen first because it's easier for me, and the Sharpie is not going to bleed after you put the water. Is not going to make a mess. Well, I mean, you can always use the bleeding ink for your own purposes if you want to try it out. But for this one, we're gonna practice with just a Sharpie first. Then we're gonna do some loops on the top and some loops on the sides, kind of like some wings. I kind of wanna do it something like this. It's very similar to the card that I made for sale, but it's a little bit different because it's a little bit I don't know, every card that you are gonna do handmade card is gonna be different, right? So I think that coloring or drawing first is going to help if you want to use watercolor at the end, kind of like coloring with watercolor. I do loops like this. Now this I'm going to make it look like a ribbon. If you don't feel comfortable, doing it like this, it might look complicated. You can just do, just one loop, over and over again, and it's gonna look just as cute. So don't feel like you have to do it exactly the same. I want to make it easy for you, and I want you to embrace it too. So you can see here, I'm just doing it slowly. I don't want to fast forward or do it faster because I want you to do it with me. You can always pause if you want to do exactly how I made it, but I want you to make your own scribbles. Every scribble you make, and go in and make it double or triple, because it's perfectly imperfect, like we all are. I like to say imperfectly perfect, because we're all perfect in our own little ways. And then you just write in the heart whatever you want to write. In this case, I'm writing Happy Valentine's, but you can say I love you, or be mine, or thank you. I don't know, whatever you feel you want to write. So then I'm making smaller squiggles inside my loops there. And I'm going to use the Crayola watercolors. So I just want to show you that you can do a lot of things with the simplest, and you don't need the most expensive watercolors, if you're just starting, or even if you just want to play. I mean, sometimes I just like to play with Crayola watercolors because, I like to use it with my kids. Now with the letters, I'm going to make an extra shadow, I guess, or extra line on every line of the word, or the letter going down. So if it's happy, like an H, it goes down in the top, and then the A just on one side that goes down to make the A, the happy. Every line that goes down, you make it so it looks like a shadowy type of or calligraphy. That's how they do it, but I'm kind of cheating here, doing it afterwards, because I'm not that good at calligraphy. But hey, we can make our own handwriting look perfect. Even the most imperfect handwriting. And then with a bigger Sharpie, I am just using one line to make it stand out even more on one side of the loops and the heart, the squiggles. I think you can always go back and do it if you forget a line and do it later, but just believe me, please don't do it right after you do watercolors because it's going to mess up your Sharpie pen. So just wait until it's completely dry if you're gonna do any additions on the ink part. I have messed up a lot of Sharpie pens because I'm so impatient. I want to finish up my card and I just want to do it before it's dry, and I have messed up. Anywho, okay, so let's paint the heart red. I like to put water first just to kind of outline. Here I'm outlining exactly where the lines are, but I don't know if I'm going to stay like this or if I'm going to make it bigger at some point. You can make it smaller. That's how watercolor works. You know, they don't have to be perfect. And coming up, I'm going to have more art parties with imperfect type of watercolor paintings. So here I'm gonna I wanna make the left side darker than the right. So you're gonna see, if you have a lot of water on your heart, you don't want it to puddle. So you can always use your brush to kind of, how do you say, mop it, kind of. Use your brush as a mop. And then by making sure that it's dry, and then take some water out with it, and that way it won't puddle on your paper. So here I'm just working with the color. Work slowly, don't rush. And then this is a good time to do some sparkles. You can do it by tapping it with your finger or with another pen or brush you have handy, and that's gonna make the little sparkles, or no sparkles, sorry, the splashes. Anyhow, and then you kind of go over the paper, the red, the heart. I'm trying to find the right red that I wanted. So remember, you layer with the watercolors. They're always gonna dry lighter. So I'm doing it very carefully. Don't rush again. The more water you have on your brush, the lighter the color will be, the saturation. Obviously, there is more professional paints that are much more saturated. That's going to make it look almost like acrylic. But either way, I think we can always have fun. I don't have the most expensive paints, but anyhow, here I'm going to mix. If you have one of these little things to mix paint, you can do that. I'm mixing blue and green because I want an aqua type of color. So see, you can here, you can mix your colors like so. If you want it more blue, you can make it more blue, but I'm gonna do like a aqua color outside, and then more blue in the inner loops. So you can just be careful, do it each one at a time. Take your time and leave some space in the little loops so that you can fill it up with either green or blue or another color, purple if you want, yellow, whatever colors you see in the palette of your Crayola colors that are close to the blue and green. So that way it kind of goes together. Because even if you do it red, since the heart is red, it's gonna be okay, but to me it will look too much of the same color. So that's why purple, I recommend purple, or I recommend yellow, or more saturated brune or green, blue or green. So here, I think I'm gonna do, I did blue, and then I want the right side of the heart to be lighter, so I'm adding some yellow. I'm adding with a little bit of water. If it's too much water on your brush, just gonna dry it a little bit so it's not a puddle. You don't make it a puddle, and it's gonna make an orangey color. You can always add, see if it's drying lighter than you want on the left side, so you can always add a little bit more red. And it's, you know, mine at least was still a little bit wet, so you can still add it if it's a little bit wet without making puddles, so that way you don't have like a puddle. I like the lines anyway. I like the puddle lines. So just, you know, just try and just embrace it any way it comes. I added the top color. I think it's a dark purple. I thought it was black, to be honest. It's so dark, such a dark purple. But purple is has red inside, so it won't look bad. And then to make it a darker red with such dark purple, is gonna work perfect to make it a darker red. So I'm mixing it like you see on the top part of my watercolors, the plastic. It can also be used as a mixer. And at the end, you can always wipe it out with a wet paper towel to keep it clean for the next time, or you can keep it with colors to have ready for the next time you play. And then here I'm gonna do yellow first, because it's gonna be my light color for the top loops. And then I'm gonna probably mix with some orange at the very top. But with the water, they're gonna mix together. So see, I'm just gonna add it in the top carefully, and I will let it mix by itself, because the water will do its work to mix dark with the light. Okay, I think that's good. And then see, maybe I will add some splashes, yeah. So kind of, the splashes usually work to be part of the painting. So if you have some yellow, you can always make some yellow sparkles. You have aqua, you know, it kind of, don't do too much, because it's just like a little bit, though does a lot. Just for the visual purpose, it kind of makes everything come together. And so you let it dry for a bit. I suggest that you let it dry on its own. And then once it's dry, then you come back to it and add more details. So here, I am so sorry, I thought I was recording and I wasn't. Let me go again and tell you what I did to make it like a vignette, so that if we're making a card, it would stand out more than for it just being white. So what I did was I made a mixture of purple and red to make it darker. And I just went over the edges like so to kind of make it stand out with darker edges, and then kind of playing with the water to make it come in. It's okay to make mistakes. Please don't worry and embrace it. And then with a paper towel, you can see, I mean, as long as it's dry, the other one was kind of wet. As long as it's dry, you can always play with it to kind of mix it into the paper and kind of play with it. This is not about perfection. It's about art. It's about being imperfectly perfect. So here I'm adding more red. I think red will make it, you know, kind of stand out with a heart. Some places more than others, just to make it a vignette, but not too much because I don't want it to mess up with the art itself, with the heart. So just the very edges, especially in the corners, and then just play with it and do as much as you want without overdoing it. Sometimes it's hard not to overdo it, to be honest. But hey, it's just about playing, so you can make more than one card and just share with others. It's gonna make you really happy, and you're gonna surely give another smile to somebody you love. So you just play as much as you want. I'm just adding more red here, and then I'm gonna add some darker corners. You don't have to. I think red would be enough, but hey, it's up to you to play. You can always have a piece of watercolor paper on the side and see what the color looks like. See if that's something you want to do or not. It's all part of playing. You can also use this type of art for I did a card with a heart like this, and I just kind of wrote with ink in the white space, like what I was feeling that day and how to embrace it with love, even if it's a hard situation. Here I rather let it dry on its own, but you can also use this is what's it called? It's just that dryer basically, that is for art. But do not make this video too long. Using that, I didn't use it for it before to dry the heart. I'm just using it for the edges right now. I'm using the dryer for the edges. So here you can always use your brush as to take paint out with water once it's dried. So if you think you have too much paint somewhere and you don't want it maybe as dark, you want it more faded in, this is watercolor. So always use water to make colors lighter or to take away some of the colors. And that's another way to kind of erase. If you want, don't do it too much when it's wet, because if you do, then your paper will be messed up. But hey, this is what it's looking like. And we might be ready to make it into a card. So I'm using the Paper Studio paper set. It has envelopes and it has cards, and they are just cardboard cards. And since the watercolor makes it kind of heavier, it's gonna look really good. So take a look. It's weird like this. And like I said in the introduction, look, it makes a perfect card. And you can write whatever you want inside. And I just use glue stick to put it together. If you use glue, like regular glue, it might affect the paper of the card. And in the back, you can always sign your name, so they know who made it. Your wonderful person made it with much love. And all you do is just glue your art into the front, and voila, you got a beautiful card. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed it. Make more, make many, and write whatever you want inside. See, I some color, you know, I added some color, but hey, that means that it's hand done. It's not a Hallmark card.
No, I think steaks.
Each card will be different.
Calling my name.
Embrace it. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching. Go to my YouTube channel, TaydeDesigns is my official name. Thank you, and see you next time.